did I make this? Well, it all started with pre-production, which I estimate to have taken about 4 hours. The stumps of the arms I had to sculpt out of clay. You can see here I've got the bone, the muscle tissue and the fat fibres as well. These were just sculpted with new Plast clay. It's the clay I always use, and I custom mixed some of the colours there. And you can see the backs don't look particularly great, but basically all I needed to do was photograph these to sit in my animation. And then we're on to the production, and this was the animation itself. And I did this in stop motion, frame by frame. I acted it out, I took the pictures, I did everything. I was triggering the photographs with my foot. I had the keypad on the floor, and I was carefully looking to the side every frame to make sure that I was in alignment. It was quite a challenge, but I like a challenge, and this was just a random idea that I had that I literally just came up with on the spot and was like, I want to make this film called Armless, where I rip my arms off, and I just went for it. Now, the production took about 2 hours to animate, and this is because the first attempt I wasn't happy with the performance. The second attempt, I also wasn't happy with the performance. So the performance that you actually see in the film is my third go at animating this. Basically, what was wrong with the performance in the first 2 tries was pulling the arms off, because obviously I'm still attached to my arms. I had to act it out as if my arms were not a part of me, because obviously I was going to edit them off, and it takes a bit of getting your head around that to work out exactly how to make that performance look realistic. So a few attempts, but by the third attempt I felt like I nailed the performance that I wanted, and I feel like it looked good enough for me, and I was happy to move on and try and get the post-production done. But after I'd finished doing the animation, I then had to photograph my stumps that I'd made. So I tried to put them in the same position that I'd been standing in so that the focus matched and it was correct, and I ended up taking 2 images, one that was slightly out of focus as it would have been where my arms were, and then I also did a sharp image as well, because I thought, you know, I've spent all this time sculpting these, I probably want to show the detail, and I'll probably use the sharp image even though the focus wasn't quite there at that point in the depth of field. So I took my sharp image, and then these were going to be added in post-production. So the biggest part of this film was post-production. I feel like 100+ hours is probably a low estimate. In fact, it was probably several hundred hours to do the post-production. I started making this film on the 16th of July, and I've literally only just finished it a couple of weeks ago. So it's taken a full 3 months in my spare time to get this done. Now, as you can see, I'm in Photoshop here, and you can see every single image in this sequence, and bearing in mind there were over 300 images, is built up of around 15 to 20 layers. So everything that you see that you didn't see in the animation is painted on. So you've got shadows here, artificial shadows that I had to paint underneath the stumps to make it look like they were actually sitting on the table. You've got some shadows that I placed in underneath the arms where perhaps it needed a little bit extra. You've got the blood on the edge of the arms to kind of show where they'd been pulled away, and then the pool of blood, I had to animate that frame by frame, which was a little bit of a challenge, but like I say, I like a challenge. You can see another image here. It's all built up from the same process. And another challenge that I had was that obviously I wanted myself to still be in the frame whilst the arms were being animated in the foreground. So I had to do some torso shots, and I wanted there to still be movement there. So I rotated 3 different images throughout the film to give an illusion that I was still there and still present, even though my arms had been ripped off. Another really important aspect to the post-production is the sound design. You can see here a little video. I just literally recorded the audio for this on my phone, and I just recreated some of the movements that my arms and my hands had made to get the sound effects to add in to the film. A lot of the other sounds I used, especially the animal noises, I found from various royalty-free sources on the internet. Some of them were from YouTube videos and others from freesound.org and places like that. But yeah, this was quite an ambitious film, but I have got some ideas for using this technique again, and I now have a much better idea of how the process works for me. It was a bit of a trial and error to start with, especially with creating the layers and working out how this was going to work, because it was quite challenging to make it work, especially the beginning where the arms get ripped off. That was quite a jigsaw puzzle of layers in Photoshop, but I feel like I pulled it off, literally. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you found this interesting. I'm hoping to put more short films out on this channel because I really enjoy making them, and I've got loads of ideas. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you again in the next one.